you're wrong. I'm like, hey, I know what.
Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, you know the drill. It does not matter what you drive. This is your all-terrain nation, and this is Maverick Talk Live. And I feel like a Maverick tonight because normally there's people around me, and tonight I'm like, you're going to get a lot of images of Dave here, but hopefully you guys can hear John. John, are you on the phone there?
I am on the phone. Yes, sir.
All right, so guys in the chat, everybody, let me know if you can hear Johnny over there. We got an exclusive here. We got the Maverick himself, man. We got John. Johnny, dude, for one, welcome to the show, and hopefully they're gonna let me know that they can hear you or not. But I'm happy to have you, man. Like you were kind of one of those guys. Like me and you talked early on in your channel, and like. I won't say you were struggling, but you were finding your way. And like the Maverick with you, your people went nuts with the Maverick, dude. I love it.
Yeah, I've got some really good people in the community, and we've worked together, I guess you could say, to foster a community that works to help each other out. Because the crazy thing with this Maverick thing is, you know, you're ordering a vehicle up, and pretty much no one has sat in one. No one's driven, touched, felt. So it's all in the blue, and it's not as if the website, as good as, you know, I don't mean to knock the Ford website, it is good, but you need like some sort of special degree to figure that one out. You know, I just got the question the other day, and I thought it was so relevant. The person said, so you need XLT luxury package to have backup camera, right? And, you know, I was like, why would they think that? And then I actually looked into it, and I was like, man, even if I click on a Lariat and you go to look at the features on the Lariat and it repeats that it has a backup camera, but if you haven't looked at every single other build possible, you figure, hey, you need a Lariat for a backup camera. So it's easy to get misled and fooled on it. And I think that's why we've been such a big community, helping each other out, working together, and a pretty darn nice community. I've been real lucky that they've adopted me into it.
Well, and guys in the chat, man, Johnny is like the salt of the earth. You're one of the nicest Canadians I've ever chatted with, I swear. And like Johnny was stressing, we had video set, or we were trying to get the video set up, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't going to happen. So give Johnny like a big thumbs up here, because like I appreciate you're giving it the old college try here, man. I'm looking at my phone down here trying to like do this, look at the audience, and it's going to be a fun one, John.
That's really appreciated. You are a very gracious host, and knowing how kind you've been to me and how you've actually helped set up my channel and everything, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do Dave a solid tonight. I'm gonna get ready all early. So at 8:25 upstairs, I had my adult juice and even water in case I have too much adult juice and start to feel a little woozy. And I had it all set up, and then I'm like, hey, this is odd. My microphone's not working. So worked pretty hard on that. I'm sorry about that, but you're a very, very calm, relaxed, stress-free individual.
Hey man, I've done this enough now. I've done this kind of stuff for about 5 years. So like I hate to say I've seen it all, but like you just roll with the punches. I've had other people in here that they could not like. And you and the guys in the chats, I use Discord. It's a gaming service or a gaming platform to stream all this stuff when I have guests and stuff. And we're going to move to a more professional deal, like some of the channels like Dwayne and them use over at Bronco Wild Outdoors. But you know, I was like, oh, we've had John on like twice. It's always like worked, and then you know tonight it doesn't work. But John, here's my whiskey, buddy. Like you can see, cheers, sir.
Cheers, sir.
And cheers to my audience here that we're going to talk a little bit of Ford Maverick, because I'll be honest, man, I got my ass handed to me with the Bronco. I'm so used to saying Bronco, but with the Maverick. So initially when the Ford dropped the Maverick, I was just like, I don't know where this platform is going to sit. And my buddy there, Pickup Trucks and SUV Talks, who donated $5 to the cause, he was like, dude, it's going to be like, it's going to be a hit for Ford. And I was like, I don't know, man. And then we started seeing all those teasers and stuff. And at the time, we're both, me and your channel, were deep into Bronco stuff, like figuring that mess out. And then Ford drops a new mess on us, and I just thought, nah, it's probably not going to do well. And then there was the heart and soul of the Maverick, like you, John, who was like, no, it's going to be a hit, and you took off and ran with it, man. So tell us all initially, what makes this silly little thing so special?
That's a really solid question, and it's one that is actually becoming clear with time, because at first you're not the only one. I got to give you credit here. One of my first videos, well, my very first video was really back in March when Ford had it not announced that it'd be for our market, and some people were saying that it would likely be on the transit platform, and I was trying to say, like, hey, this could be, like, it's theoretically possible to be on a transit platform, but it won't be for this reason. I speculated that it would have the 2-liter engine, and that likely would be off the Escape platform, and would eventually come with everything that the Escape currently offers, that there'd be no limitations, and that, that they could get a lot more out of it. But I also, like you, thought, you know what, this could pass and could just bother people. And I said it back in March. I said, if this has a 5-foot box or more, this thing is going to be a crazy success. But if it has a 4.5-foot box or less, it'll be, the smaller the box, the less successful it'll be. And no, you know what? I think it really took off because you've got a price cheaper than a Honda Civic with better miles per gallon. And, normally when a product comes out of the line and it's completely new, and it's a new segment too.
Sure.
It's a big risk to not have them on the lots and have people trying them. And I think that's part of the whole popularity, why my channel skyrocketed, why the community is so tight-knit and helping each other out. It's that we need to. We've got no information on this. You're just kind of putting money down blindly, but the real strong points for this, you got that 1,500-pound payload, and even your most staunch truck guy who will try to say, you know what, a truck needs a V8, and a truck needs, let's say, a 6.5-foot bed. Well, when you offer someone half the price, if you look at the new Tundra, which I think is really awesome, I won't knock that in any way. I like pretty much everything on the new Tundra. It's still basically, for something with a decent equipment, you're going to look at 60,000, whereas a well-built Maverick is 25. 1,500-pound payload, which is more than some, a Dodge Ram Classic has less than 1,500 pounds payload. So even if you've got your guy, chirping you saying, hey, it needs a V8, otherwise it's not a real truck, you can chirp him right back and say, hey, buddy, I got 1,500 pounds of payload. So even though it's a small truck, it's got a lot of cred and it's not expensive. So I think that's really what it boils down to.
Right. Well, I know some in the comments are like, well, it's just they're just keep trying to get as much out of that Escape platform as they can, and that is true. But that happened in the car world. Let's not act like car manufacturers didn't kind of pimp out every platform, the same platform, as many different versions as they could, because we all know Ford's not selling cars now. Well, I mean, they have a Mustang and then they have the Mach-E, but those don't really count as daily commuter cars, really. So I know Tim with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk was really in on hey, this is the next sort of little car to get you around town, and it's practical, or they ride nice. And John, I know you've been able to do time in these things. So when you talk on your channel about these things, it's definitely you're one of the few that actually talk about it and just love this little thing.
Yeah, it's. I'm happy you noticed that. I do love it, and I do try to be, as I try to be fair, but I'm also the type, I'd say, not really so much a reviewer. I'm more of a shower. I have a strong belief. My philosophy is that cars, in a way, you need to look at them like shoes, and just because it doesn't fit you doesn't mean it's bad. And sometimes, like a shoe, you just need to find a solution.
That's a very Canadian way of saying that. That is so Canadian right there, man.
Lots of ways to get your cord of wood ready for, 20 cords of wood ready for winter. I look at that differently. There's more than one way to split a log.
Right.
So, you're the 4.5-foot box. I thought that's possibly what would kill it. And originally we didn't even know price. So I figured Ford would just barely put this under the price of a Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured they barely put it, under the price of a 4-door Super Crew Ranger. For those who are watching are saying, hey, it is basically the price of a Ranger. Well, yes and no. If you compare apples to apples with the 4-door versus a 4-door, it's a heck of a lot cheaper. And I think if they would have came in with a 4.5-foot box and had it be, $1,500 US under the price of a 4-door XLT Ranger,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'd be getting the attention it is. And I think that'd be too bad because, yeah, I've gotten to drive all the models, all the trim levels, with luxury pack, without luxury pack, and all the powertrains. And I've always loved the 2-liter. I've been going on about the 2-liter since 2013. I was thrilled when they threw that in the Fusion. Ford's, I think one of Ford's, when it comes to Ford in cars, there's a few I like, which I think if you read between the lines, I'm saying something there. So there's a few that I like of the cars they built. And the Fusion 2-liter turbo was one of them. The 1.6 liter, not a fan at all. Too much turbo lag. But the 2-liter was great. And in all-wheel drive, I loved it. And I also loved it in the Escape. And the Escape, people will gripe about the Maverick being on an Escape platform, as you mentioned. But that is an incredible platform. It's extremely safe. It's not, some cheap, garbagey platform. And I think the Maverick's already starting to show. I have not off-road driven it. I will once I get mine. But great powertrains. That hybrid powertrain, when I first drove it in the Escape, I got in being like, this is going to be crap. I hate hybrids.
Right.
Just for reasons, noisy, horrible transmissions, because they're basically, previously they had all been CVT, other than at Toyota. And I absolutely despise CVTs.
I'm an ex-Nissan guy, man. So yes, I'm there with you. I definitely am not a fan of the CVTs. But so, what makes this different? I mean, obviously there's a price point, but this, I know a lot of people say, well, this isn't a real truck, and it does truck things. It's got a bed on it. Yeah, I mean, can you tow a 20-foot trailer? No, you probably shouldn't. But you probably shouldn't with the Ranger as well. Like, there's certain vehicles that are made to do that. And let the audience, where do you stand with this? What is it best at, and kind of where should you not use this?
Oh, that's good. That's solid questions. You're putting me on the line with the where should you not use this. I honestly would not use it if I was going to be pulling, let's say, 4,000 pounds without brakes on the trailer. So if you've got a trailer and you've got 4,000 pounds, you're going to overwork. You got to keep in mind, the Maverick weighs 3,678 pounds. So basically 3,700 pounds. If you're going to pull more than the weight of what you're pulling with, you're just looking for trouble. It's not a quality recipe.
Right.
You're going to burn cake. So that's definitely where I would not use it. If I were to pull 2,000 pounds on a daily basis, I don't know how comfortable I'd feel doing 2,000 pounds every single day with the hybrid. Anyways, you're going to get bad fuel economy, so you've pretty much gotten rid of the purpose of having the hybrid.
Right.
So I'd go 2-liter, because then at least you'll enjoy pulling that 2,000 pounds, because I think the hybrid definitely will pull the 2,000 pounds fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing it every day, small irritances become very large, problematic irritances. So I definitely go 2-liter, and I definitely throw on the FX4 package. What's nice about the Maverick is the XLT, I find, is a real sweet spot. You can actually take the FX4 package, giving you a larger radiator fan. A larger engine cooling fan, a larger radiator as well. So your engine gets cooled off much better. So if you're going to be regularly pulling, I'd go FX4 all the way. Plus, Ford, people have griped about the whole XL lacking equipment, which I have my own opinions on that. But the FX4 package, what's really cool is you get the 6.5-inch cluster screen, which is behind the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. The same 6.5-inch screen that you get on a Lariat. So, you get a lot of the look that you get out of the Lariat, at least on the inside, if you go with the XLT FX4. So I guess that's what I would not use it for. Mm-hmm. I also wouldn't use it. Let's say I'm someone that does 90% highway. I definitely wouldn't wait the long wait to get a hybrid, because at this point, since November 15th, you can't order a hybrid. And of course, dealers are going to take your money. If you go
Sure.
up to them and say, hey, here's $1,000, I want a hybrid, they'll not only take your money, some places are going to tell you, hey, I'll get right on that, buddy. You'll get that real soon. Don't worry, friend. I'll give you a call real soon. And you won't hear from that guy for like the next 10 months because that thing's going to get built in October at the earliest, because who knows how many other people they've roped into taking their $1,000. So I wouldn't get the hybrid if I was doing almost exclusively highway. I'd probably, well, at least in my northern area, I'd definitely go all-wheel drive and have a little bit more fun in the snow.
Well, do you see this being like somebody that has maybe a jet ski or something like that? Something, you're not talking a ton. This is somebody that's just going every so often to tow something. Yeah, you're not a landscape company or somebody doesn't need this because it's not intended for what it is, but it's definitely a little commuter car for like a little auto parts stores. They always need to haul something to the next store or something like that. I definitely see a plus there. Now, being that you can get this in they call it like a 4-wheel drive, but it's really like an all-wheel drive system. What do you choose? Because you're in the land of frostbite up there, buddy. I mean, you guys, I've seen the way you treat your Bronco, like darting through them roads like it's a rally race. Like, is the all-wheel drive the way to go that probably the Canadians are going to want to go with this thing?
Yeah, if it was for me, I would definitely go all-wheel drive. And I can say at my local dealer, I looked into their list, and it's almost all 2-liter turbo all-wheel drive. Well, if you go 2-liter turbo up here, you're forced all-wheel drive. Ford's like, no, don't take a front-wheel drive. Here's an all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And that's, they're probably doing that also to keep front-wheel drive 2-liter turbos for the high population down in those beautiful warm areas you're living in.
I don't know how warm, buddy. We're expecting about 9 inches of snow again.
Oh, cool. And is that irregular or is that a typical?
No, it's when I was a kid growing up, yeah, we could get 10 to 12 inches once maybe, but I think we've had already like 15, 16 inches of snow here in Tennessee this year already. So we need that all-wheel drive here is what I'm getting at.
So yeah, I'd go all-wheel drive because I'll almost crash just about anything. I just recently almost went backwards into the woods on my Polaris ATV, so that actually kept me from making videos for 3 days because I had trouble walking. So only cases were coming off of me, but beyond that, Marie took front-wheel drive, and I'm actually quite impressed. I just did a night snow drive on the hybrid Maverick, so of course it's front-wheel drive only. And I got a lot more than I expected. Like, I've known for the last few years that Ford's front wheel drives. Heck, I've driven 3 winters with a rear wheel drive Mustang because I'm a little crazy, but also because I have faith in Ford's intelligent rear wheel drive. They send different percentages of power to the wheels, and they can play around between the power they send to each wheel. And it does a good job of keeping itself in a straight line, even up a hill. Mm-hmm. But the Maverick actually really impressed me because those conditions were slick. It was like that light, wet snow that's just about right before it freezes and turns into ice. Mm-hmm. And I drove out on the front wheel drive, and even when I gave it gas, like I put the pedal to the metal, and the thing's kept itself in a straight line in the parking lot when it was just snow. Off camera, I also gave it a few shots to make sure I knew what I was talking about. I said, I really got to test this properly. So I think a lot of people up north are going to stay away from the hybrid front wheel drive, which I'm happy because that leaves it, for you all. But I think they're missing out. I think I think it's too bad that all the front wheel drive hybrids seem to be going to Texas, Florida, and California.
Right. Where do you think the sweet spot is in the lineup of this vehicle?
I think a lot of people who are able to compromise, so people who will stay married and not get divorced, I think they figured it out. They're getting the XL, they're saving money, and they're taking their wife on vacation. Because while there'll be a lot of people griping about little things, which is often, I think, what might ruin marriages or friendships, the XL crew, I love them for it. They figure, you know what, I'll learn to drive without cruise control. And this has got so many people, customers, us, reviewers, it's got so many people worked up that I look at everything in life, and I feel like everything, you got to look at it from a balanced perspective. And on the XL, it's not my sweet spot, but I'm surprised. I think it really is a sweet spot because you look at 20,000 US plus, of course, $2,000 for the transport, but you've got automatic high beams, which, you know, when your high beams go on and off, it's not gimmicky. Like, this is awesome. I can be a lazy driver and just drive in a straight line, bang my head away to the music, and I don't have to worry about anyone else, and I don't have to worry about forgetting and being, you know, a BMW driver.
Whoa! I had a BMW, John. I mean, come on now, buddy. But hey,
have a BMW. You got me there.
Hey, but when you bang your head up there, is it required that it's got to be Rush?
I listen to everything. I listen to everything. I definitely don't headbang to any classic music though, but yeah, Rush definitely pass the test in my vehicle any day.
Because like Tom Sawyer is probably y'all's national anthem, right? I'm just poking at you, man. One of the cool kind of things, and I'm showing some pictures up. I don't know if you're watching at all, but the layout of the interior of this thing is pretty unique, and I have to give it to him. The plastics. I watched Doug DeMuro did a review on this thing a while back, and he was talking about how they're just a couple. They're kind of cheap, some of the plastics, but it's like, yeah, that's the point of this vehicle. People aren't buying this vehicle because they want, the best riding thing ever. They want the most features ever. I mean, this, for God's sakes, this comes with Sync 3. It's not like even the audio system is the best Ford has, and that's to its credit. It's not trying to be anything. It's not trying to be the Ranger. If you want the Ranger, and I know some people have commented about it, yeah, get a Ranger, and you can get some of the more plush features. But this is just trying to be an honest little, hey, if you want something that can carry something from Home Depot, go get it. But speak to me about the interior of this thing, because I like kind of the quirkiness of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, Dave. Like, I'm totally with you. One thing that has always driven me up a wall and makes me lose my hair is when I have a reviewer say something, for example, like, hey, this interior is plasticky, it's awful. Okay, but you need to take that, with a grain of salt. You got to look at balance. What's the price of the vehicle? Did you just review a Ferrari or a Bugatti? Fine. Yeah. Your Bugatti had, leather off some special ass part and some special cows.
Johnny, you're way pet. Don't say sorry. I mean, I know you're Canadian, but don't say sorry, dude. You're allowed to say the bad words. It's okay.
I've been invited to the adult table, and I feel really special.
You have.
Right on. So, all right. If you're reviewing $500,000 machines, you just got to keep in mind your own personal biases, and you need to balance out, how much am I paying? What am I getting? Because that's what normal buyers are thinking about. They're thinking, how much does it cost me? And what is it going to freaking give me? So if you're paying, let's say, you don't go with the Sync 3. Go back to talking about Sync 3 really quickly. Sync 3, it's wild. To get it, you have to get a Lariat luxury package. So
really?
You take the Lariat. You take the luxury package at $4,400. You add it to the Lariat, and I had it in my notes, but my notes are on the phone, which is now my audio source. But it was something like $36,488, give or take, to have Sync 3. And, reviewers, and I love TFL, they actually really like the vocal system off the Maverick. Mm-hmm. And it was making me laugh because they're saying Ford's vocal system off the Maverick it's very good. And I was laughing, and I was like, I totally agree with them. And it's part of the whole interior feel, to stay on the topic of interior. But I was laughing because I was like, that's not Ford's. That's Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. It's the voice assistants from our phones, and they are way better than any vehicle. And this is something I've got a lot of respect for Ford these days. When I saw them talking with Google and saying that they're going to work together, I don't know if they call it a partnership or if they just can talk about working together.
Right.
I think that's when someone can do something better than you, the best thing is to let them do it for you. And, if that trade-off is that your vehicle, and probably I'm going to predict it here, and I'm going to lay out the news. I highly predict within 3 to 5 years, when you're driving your Ford, Google, which is also going to be your voice system, your navigation, by the way, the Google navigation, I have Sync 4 in my Bronco, and I don't use it. I go straight to the Android stuff.
Yeah.
I find it works way better. And I'm sure in 3 years, it's going to be saying, hey, Johnny, do you want to stop at the coffee? We know you take 2 coffee. You like to take more than 2 coffees a day, which is all you're allowed at home. How about we sneak you one in on the way to work? And I think that's how the partnership's going to go with, I think Google's going to get paid for advertising, that they're going to put these like what's going to seem like really nice, kind, helpful reminders as part of your day, but they're going to be getting paid for advertisement, and Ford's going to be getting, benefits of having an amazing vocal system. So yeah, you need Lariat, but you don't need a Lariat to have a great interior. The XLT, actually the XL, the all black interior, that works for some people, especially the headbangers out there. The all black interior, it's great. And what's wild is I find you go to certain manufacturers, and if you buy the least expensive model, you're going to feel a little like, Goldilocks? You're going to sit in the first chair and you say, oh, this chair's just not quite right. Then you're going to sit in the next chair. And of course, when you sit in Papa's chair, you're going to say, oh, wow, the fully loaded model, now it's comfortable. But it's the same seat. I've sat in all the models. Whether you go XL or Lariat, you're getting the same seat. It's just the cover that changes. So same upholstery, same comfort. The steering wheel, of course, that's a different story. I'm a fan of leather-wrapped steering wheels. But, it's got a nice interior. I'm actually pretty impressed in the turning radius from my last drive. I'd forgotten how good that turning radius is. If you're in the city, you're going to be turning on a dime with that thing.
Well, I put a picture of you and your lovely partner with your Bronco from your Facebook page, so they actually can see you sort of now, John. Like they get a feel for. If you don't know Johnny, you got to go over to his channel and check him out, because John, you every video you do is like a deep dive. Like I'll do a 4 to 8 minute video and think, man, I milked everything I could out of that. John takes it up like 5 more levels, and like it's 27 minutes, but it's not like 27 minutes of just like, man, will this guy hurry up? It's like super good information, man. Like I really dig what you're doing with that. So have you received your Maverick yet, or are you still waiting?
Yeah, no, I'm crap out of luck. I ordered the worst combo. I went XLT with luxury package.
Uh-huh.
And in the Maverick world, that means I shot myself in the foot. And I knew this going in because I know that there's supply issues in regards to plastic, vinyl, rubber.
Right.
And I don't afford to have any issues with rubber, but I've been saying it since about March, May. I've been saying, hey, watch out, bed liner, spray and bed liner is in decline. And then around, I think end of May, maybe May, June time, factories just didn't have any for give or take 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
To the point where our local shop that does, all they do are spray and bed liners day in, day out.
Wow.
They couldn't for anyone. They said we have no supply, and they actually closed their shop for 6 weeks and then opened up just to call everybody to say we're closing for another 2 weeks. We still don't have any equipment, any spray in. So when I started talking about that on my Maverick channel, I got a lot of comments. Well, a lot. I got maybe like 10 or 15 comments that were just saying like I was dumb. But we always get some of those, and they're always kind of comical when you're right and people are telling you like you're dumb just because they don't want to hear the bad news. They don't want to swallow the pill.
Right.
But so I've got the XLT with the spray and bed liner, and that's currently that was a 54L code, and I refuse to remove it and go to the 54B, which puts in the plastic bed liner. So I'll be waiting quite a while for my Maverick.
Well, so because the Maverick is built in Mexico, does that even make it with the pandemic and everything going on? Is that just another nightmare on top of like trying to get something through basically a whole nother country from like it's 3 countries basically? Is that like causing issues for you guys?
Transport's actually pretty decent. We'll see a Maverick built. I've seen several Mavericks built, and they're at factory. And they're not taking that much longer to actually transport to us than a Bronco. It's about a week longer, and that's fair because, Michigan and Mexico aren't exactly the same distance.
Oh.
So I'll totally take the extra, 4 to 7 days. And, in Mexico, in regards to everything that's going on, basically it's show up to work. Otherwise, there's a line of people ready to work in the factory. So
right.
they're actually getting pretty good. However, Ford, when how Ford factories work, it's that basically they'll slowly, very ever so slowly, increase their numbers. So as you know, of course, they'll start with those production. Sorry, not the dealer demos, the journalist demos, and they make like the very first, let's say, Mavericks were basically built by hand, and then slowly they incorporate. They incorporate the machines, but anyways, once they kick up the factory, they know that there's going to be some errors, likely be errors produced, so they won't pull the tap to full. So they're still not on full. That factory can make, if I recall, they could make about over 12,000 Mavericks per month. So a lot of people will like chime in and say, hey, Ford really needs to get a second Maverick factory up and running. And really, that's not the solution. They just need to perfect the build process. For a great example of why they don't want to build 12,000 a month right off is just recently models with spray and bed liners, they're drilling into the fuel tanks.
Oh, wow.
And I hear that's bad. I hear that's dangerous when you drill in. At least when they're empty, they won't blow up at the factory, but later they tend to leak in people's yards, and you definitely don't want to hand that off to someone who likes to play with fireworks or something.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's something that if you've only made, let's say, 20,000, it's a lot less severe than if you've been making 12,000 a month since September. So they'll slowly kick it up. Come March, they'll be building, if I recall correctly, I don't have my exact notes in front of me, but I think it's 7,000 Mavericks. And the factory, I believe, can make, if it's running full shifts all the time, year-round, it's 300,000 vehicles. But they also have to make the Bronco Sport there. Mm-hmm. But the demand on that is good, but it's not Maverick levels of craziness.
So you're seeing a larger demand than of course the Sport's been out for over a year now, so kind of it's starting to settle down a little bit, but so yeah, it's outdoing that. That's crazy. And Ford came out, or I'm not sure if it's official just yet, but they're coming out and saying, hey, the Escape's going away. And I think because Bronco Sport's so popular, and then obviously this platform's so popular, like it's like we don't really need kind of that goofy looking one. We've got a truck and we've got a Bronco to build.
Yeah, no, that's right. And even at as you know, and you've reported on this before, at the Michigan factory, they're going to tone down the number of Rangers that they're making to increase the number of big Broncos. So I love how I like it when companies adapt to the reality. They don't just, put their head in the sand and say, nope, you know what, we made a plan 10 months ago and we're sticking to it. So it's nice that they're adapting. More and more people are going to be getting their Mavericks. People like me that don't want to get off that spray and bed liner kick.
Right.
It's not so much that, I think the plastic bed liner is bad. It's that I want to give Marie more time with the Bronco, because likely when her Maverick comes in, the original blue Bronco, Bacon Bits, it likely needs to go for financial reasons.
Sure.
I don't really want. I want her Maverick to come in but at the same time, I'm okay if it comes in 3 months later.
Right? Because do you have 2 Broncos now?
Yeah, I do. It's a reason to dislike me strongly, and I feel bad. With some people not having one Bronco, but the good part is I get to, break news. I'll actually break this news on your channel. I've been holding on to it, and I said I'll bring this out just when the moment strikes, when I've got just enough adult juice in me. But it's confirmed by Marie-Pierre, so I'm good. This isn't just, me being excessively analytical. We've got the high package on the Outer Banks Sasquatch. So it's Cactus Gray. We called it Cactus Jack. And a lot of people have wondered, what is the sound deadening on the high package? Ford just says sound deadening, and you go to the order guide, and the order guide usually is even more descriptive than I am. So you think, a 27-minute video just talking about door locks from me is long. Wait until you come across one of Ford's order guides. So anyways, these things are extremely detailed, and they also say just sound deadening. But the real punch to all of this is 2 things. Our original Bronco, the back windows are way wavier and noisy. Like they flap in the wind. Mm-hmm. However, our new Bronco with the high package, and I've noticed on non-high package models as well, The back plastic windows on the soft tops are less wavy and don't make nearly as much noise.
Huh.
But the real kicker is that sound deadening, where a lot of us who have analyzed both models know that the high package has underneath the hood a big old pad.
Yep.
I don't know. It's like it's got its own little toque underneath the hood.
Right.
And that black foaming is good. You hear, I think maybe it helps hear the engine a bit better, because every model that I've driven 3 now with that, 4 now, and they all sounded just a little bit better. But definitely Marie-Pierre, as soon as she got on the highway, and she's been driving Bacon Bits, the Badlands stock, since the 23rd of December. We got on the highway with my Outer Banks high package, and she goes, why is yours so much quieter? And like she's like offended by this. She's like, how's yours so much quieter than mine? What did you do? Do it to mine. And I was like, I can't. She's like, no, you're doing it to mine. I said, honey, I didn't do anything. This is just what it is. And she's like, well, why did I pick Bacon Bits then? I should have picked this one, because I gave her the choice of which Bronco she wanted.
Okay.
And she chose Bacon Bits. And I'm like, hon, you chose. You made your decision. You got to live, you got to live with it. But definitely that soft top, it feels heavier, but that wasn't enough to convince me. It feels heavier. It seemed a lot quieter to me. Mm-hmm. But then when the wife sits in the vehicle and she's complaining about how mine is so much quieter than hers, and she said, mine sounds like I have the window cracked open all the time, and yours sounds just a little bit louder than a regular vehicle. So, if you got any of your Bronco people watching tonight, I hope that makes them think twice about the soft top, and definitely consider. I feel the sweet spot on the Bronco is going Outer Banks and then taking the high package, because it doesn't cost much, because the Outer Banks already comes with the heated seats and almost half of what the high package has. So they sell it for $1,250 on the Outer Banks.
Okay. Well, does Maverick offer any kind of sound deadening with this?
Yeah, they do, and actually this time they're specific about it, and I don't think it's worth it. I would definitely not take a Lariat, because they offer a laminated windshield. And what's interesting about that is, for the last 5 to 8 years, most Ford vehicles have had laminated windshields. I kind of almost feel like it was a decision at one point, be like, hey, we need the Lariat to have more stuff. And it was almost like, hey, normally we give laminated windshield to everybody, but let's take it off all the other models and have it on the Lariat. So, there's more reason to take the Lariat. But I would consider a Lariat, because the interior, the Activix, is fantastic. Right. It's recycled plastic. I don't just love it because they're reusing plastic, which is absolutely necessary with all the extra plastic we have. We wrap plastic in everything. At some point, you can't just, pay the Chinese to go recycle it. They drive, 50 miles into the ocean, dump it, and then come back and say, oh yeah, we went to China and back. We've recycled it. Give us more plastic.
Right.
We'll take your plastic off your hand for X dollars per ton. So at some point, it's really cool that companies reuse it. It's awesome that Ford reuses it, but it feels awesome. And my brother was telling me, and he's done this for 28 years. He's been a sales consultant at Ford, and he's like, every client I sit in those vehicles, they're always being like, oh, I like this leather, and it's just not leather. It feels like a high quality soft leather. So that's why I consider the Lariat. But if you're cheap like me, I think the sweet spot's the XLT. That's what we went with, and I definitely would not have gone with the luxury package. As much as Ford, I'm sure, wants to sell those, and maybe they won't be happy with me telling people that I wouldn't take it, but I can live without heated seats. Most people remote start their vehicle when it's cold anyways. So if you're going to get in the vehicle and it's warm, do you really need your seats I actually find heated seats to be uncomfortable.
Really? I maybe because I'm old and have a bad back, but I love the heated seats, man. I use them in the summertime. It's crazy. I'll have the AC on and heated seats going. I don't know why. I like it. And so what are you finding? Ford has this way of doing similar things across all models. And I was going through the pictures, and I'm trying to pull something else up at the moment, but you jump in your Bronco, and then you jump into this, like all the dials and a lot of stuff are very similar, right?
Yeah. And it's nice that it actually has dials. A lot of the dials are similar. It's a Ford product that's easy to just, if you've had a Ford before, you're going to jump into the Maverick and there's going to be like maybe 15 seconds of disorientation. And then you're going to say, hey, this totally makes sense. This isn't a Toyota where the blinker's on the wrong side and all this. You're going to get in, you're going to feel comfortable, you're going to love the vehicle. Then you're going to drive it. And I'm not, I like having a decent reputation at least, but I'm not going to shy away from saying I don't understand. I think I can almost promise that 95% of people are going to drive this and be impressed. It's not just the turning radius. I whipped that thing around in corners, and then not only on that like little test track that I did last summer, I also whipped it around in the corners in the snow. And I was wondering, like, is this thing gonna, break traction, and will it regain control, or am I gonna have to be, professional driver, which I'm not, to regain control? And it handles really well.
I almost think you are a professional driver, sir. I've watched your videos of you rallying these Broncos through the back roads.
Well, when I go-karting, I usually do finish either first or second.
See, there it is.
I do enjoy the go-karting, but it's at least there when you crash into tires.
That's right.
But yeah, you can get off the highway on an off-ramp at 65 miles per hour and have very, very little, next to no body roll. And of course, the vehicle does have torque vectoring, which is fantastic. It breaks the upper inner wheel to keep the weight balanced. Not perfectly balanced, but much more balanced on all four tires. You get a bit better traction. You get less body roll. I love that aspect. The Maverick, the weirdest thing, and I don't think this is a bad thing, and I think a lot of people maybe will gripe about it. They do gripe about it having an escape platform. But the nice part about it is the escape drives relatively sporty for an SUV, which when you throw that onto a truck, you end up with a truck that you're driving. You're thinking, am I driving a sports car or am I driving a truck? And I'm not saying this drives just like a sports car. I'm saying that it drives so much more like a car than a truck. But because you are in a truck, you feel like this is a sports truck. And I think people are going to be loving this a whole lot more. Right now, people are loving it for the price. They're loving it for the fuel economy. They're loving it for the payload. They're loving it for the fact that, for not very much and dirty, cheap, low-level leases, it can pull your toys. But when they drive it, they're going to actually, if I forgot about the price and someone told me, hey, you know what, this thing is an extra $150 per month, as long as it still came in less per month than a Ranger or an F-150 or a Tacoma or, well, I would consider the Ridgeline if I liked how it looked, but I'm not Ken. I'm not Ken. No, I'm not a Barbie doll. I'm sorry, I can't drive the Ridgeline. It still looks a little too much like Barbie's dream truck from the little play set when we were little kids. But, I didn't have one. I want to put that on the record right now. I didn't have one. I mean, the girls in the neighborhood that had their Barbie truck. But anyways.
Well, I got you.
When they drive it, they're going to forget about price and say, wow, this is good, period.
Well, like for, guys want tough vehicles, and now it's getting to where I see more women driving Broncos or Jeeps or anything, and finally they're getting something, maybe a smaller compact vehicle that they can feel like it's a kick-ass, like, hey, this is a tough little thing. But first, John, I'm trying to find this. I'm searching. Hopefully everybody can hear this, but
since our garage is pretty much full right now with stuff, it's been kind of difficult.
I called you. I don't know if you heard. I called you out in a video. I called you when I took the top off of my Bronco and was live streaming. Yeah. I just trolled a Jeep dealership with the top down, and I think I was trying to pull it up here, and I was like, "Where is Johnny?" Like, I'm challenging Johnny to a snow. It was snowing in the truck, and we're riding around town with the top down. So I'm just saying, I'm throwing the challenge out there of like, hey, America, I did it for America. You should do this for Canada and do a short video for your country, your home country of you riding around with the top down. So we'll get back to Maverick, but I just remembered this, and if anybody wants to know what I'm talking about, I pulled the video up. I don't know if it plays or not.
Well, and of course for you guys, we wanna film some of it too, so that makes it.
I like the sound of that. That sounds like a.
Hey, what other YouTube channels are?
Let me put my headphones on real quick because they have to hear me call you out. It's pretty funny.
Willing to do this?
Come
on, anybody can throw their top down in Florida.
After this, maybe.
Brother of.
Anybody can be in Florida or California and do
You're built
this.
from the same cloth, I guess. Is the
No, but I'm
expression.
saying-
Because just the other day,
I challenged somebody in Canada. Where's
Where's
Johnny? Johnny!
I challenged that guy.
There, it finally played. I finally got to hear it of me calling you out, John. Of like, hey, come be a tough guy and get that top down on your Bronco in the snow because you already rally raced the thing, so it's time to really take it to the next level. But back to Maverick. So where do you think? Obviously, constraints right now. It's hard to get anything. I mean, we both know from Bronco, waiting for Bronco for it seemed like forever. What is the situation like to get one of these? Obviously, I know there's constraints. You were talking about the bed liners and stuff. Is it hey, you can get a base if you order kind of the more plain version that you can we probably can get that for you fairly quick, or is it just none of these little things are you're able to kind of get your hands on?
Well, Johnny Bronco here is a bit of a conspiracy theorist when it comes to the Bronco. So you hit a button there because I suspected and didn't quite believe when they gave us a list of, what was it, like 7 deadly sins. I really saw that, and I publicly said this, and I'm really happy that, I didn't get in any trouble for this, but I publicly said, if I were running Ford, which means I suspect they're doing this, I'd give a list so that most people are like, no, this is too much. I'm keeping my build. I'm happy to wait for my perfect Bronco.
Right.
And I never believed that entire list, it was all problematic. And, the proof is my Bronco. My Bronco showed up way earlier than I should have ever had it. And I went 2.7 liter. I meant to remove the hitch, and it didn't work. Like, it didn't stick in the system. So all I really did was take off my hardtop, put on the soft top, and I got my Bronco. And I think that's because so many people didn't put the soft top because they're like, well, if I have to change the soft top and I have to change the motor and I have to take off the hitch and then I have to go down the street, turn 3 times around Susie's house and come back, they're like, no, this is way too complicated. I'm not doing it. I'm not changing my order, and I'm happy to wait to get the perfect Bronco. Well, all I did was change the top, and I got my Bronco. What's really cool about the Maverick is it's super simple. Basically, it's, and then we're not really being given list. What's happening is you've got, a few people on the internet saying, hey, we've noticed from ordered lists that these don't move forward. Avoid the luxury package. Mm-hmm. And that's why mine hasn't moved forward. And I called that back in, what was it? I think it was around the 20th. It was either end of September or very early. It was end of September. I said, a vehicle the same color as mine with a hitch, which they were saying, like, they're forever they've been saying avoid bed liner and hitch. And I'm like, sorry, spray and bed liner. It has spray and bed liner, and it has a hitch. And it got pulled in front of mine because it doesn't have luxury. And if I were an automaker and I had this luxury package filled with little goodies that I sell for $3,100 and it doesn't cost me $3,100 to add on the vehicle, I'm not going to tell people remove the $3,100 option.
Yeah.
That would be like stupid.
Yeah.
You don't do when you're a corporation. And you also know that on the long run, really, if it boils down to an extra month or 2 of wait, people long term won't be happy. The 5 years down the road, they're not going to remember that they themselves chose to take off the luxury package. They're just going to say, man, my Maverick didn't have heated seats. That's so lame. So I think it's smart that we keep the luxury package, but it's definitely holding things back. So it's simple. It's one thing. And, if you do have obviously a build with spray and bed liner, you remove it because even at GM, that's causing problems everywhere. Yeah. And that's the other reason why I do my YouTube channel. It's so hard for me to go, like, I can barely even go on Facebook now. You go on Facebook and every single day you'll have someone saying something like, X company. And since we're talking Maverick, they'll say Ford's awful. because they're all a bunch of idiots that can't get any spray-in bed liner. How hard is it to pick up the phone and make a call and order spray-in bed liner or microchips? Well, that's not the world we're living in. You don't just get to pick up the phone and call the microchip factory and say, I'll take an extra 100,000. No, they're like, okay, so you won't pay Bitcoin price for it because we got Bitcoin buyers here who want it in their computers. So,
well, yeah, and you know, unfortunately, I still think we're another year away from not even getting close to normalcy, but like just getting a little bit of volume to everybody, because with the auto industry right now, you've had basically 2 years. The first year, everybody bought up everything. If it was a Jeep or Bronco, you know, the idea of some fun vehicle, people kind of said, F it. If we're all going to die, I'm going out. Basically, I'm going to have fun while I'm going to be, you know, they spent stupidly. But now the manufacturers are trying to catch up, and they were all happy that they were having record years in the midst of a pandemic. But yeah, now it's like, well, you know, we've got, you know, Ford seems to be the company right now. And I know we talk a lot of Ford, but it's because they're the only company right now that seems to have been able to get new vehicle launches, whether it be good or bad. They seem to be kind of throwing their nuts out there and be like, hey, we're going to do the, you know, they could have put the Maverick off for another year. It wasn't like they were being pushed. Like, if this doesn't happen now, you know, we have no vehicles to sell. The Bronco Sport was doing well at that factory. Obviously it was still making the Escape. They had vehicles to make. They weren't out of vehicles to make. So, but they've done it, you know, they stood by the Bronco, whether it be all the problems they've had with this. They stood by the, you know, the Maverick, and now they got Lightning coming up, which I know you're kind of excited by Lightning too, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my hands on Lightning, but it's hard. It's hard. You know, there's two types of dealers. There's the type of dealers that'll call up customers and will say, you know what, if you pay an extra $10,000-$15,000, we'll put you right on the top of that list. And that's so wrong. And Ford, you know, people blame Ford. And I, you know, with my channel, I try to always set the record straight. I want to be fair and put the blame where it belongs. That's not Ford, that's dealers. Actually, Ford's doing a great job of telling dealers, pull crap like that, and we may send you 0 Lightnings.
Yeah.
We'll give your Lightnings to other dealers that are actually decent human beings. So I'm trying to get one, and I really respect my dealer, my local dealer, because my local dealer is like, well, you know, Johnny here, we've let you have 2 Broncos, like, you know, and they know I have a channel and everything. They know, like, I'm trying to do good in the world, and I'm trying to inform people and, you know, get the word out there. But nonetheless, I really respect the fact that they're like, well, and Ford has hit, what, 4 home runs? Yeah. They, you know, he's a home run, the Maverick's a home run, the Bronco's a home run, and the Lightning's a home run. They're like, John, you got, you know, 3 home runs under your belt. Would it be kind of okay? And I'm actually 11th at the dealer on their list, and like, would it be okay if we let you know, we kind of want someone else to get this Lightning? Like, we kind of feel like you've been too lucky, like, and I'm like, well, I reserve them right on. They're like, yeah, of course you reserve them right on. You're in the know, like.
Yeah, which, speaking of that, so I know with Bronco, you know, there's flippers out there, and had I had any sense about me, I would have probably ordered a couple of them and to flip one. I mean, why not? There was money to be made doing that. Are you seeing that with Maverick, that you're finding these people that may have ordered a couple that are just basically trying to flip them?
In my area, none, and it's actually really nice because I find it's hard to see, like, Broncos basically, and in Canada it's neat and not so neat. Ford's actually pretty cool. Ford will ban you for basically life buying a Ford in Canada if you go to a dealer, buy a Ford, and flip it right back into to the States, because, you know, Ford wants people to have Ford vehicles. Yes. They're not going to lose money sending, you know, because of the whole dollar. You know, I remember back, I think it was 2008 or 2009, the Canadian dollar was worth more than the US dollar. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they benefited from that. But when the Canadian dollar is worth less, they lose out. So they don't want to lose a bit of money sending a vehicle to Canada so that, you know, someone who basically does nothing other than buy vehicles from dealerships sends it back to the States and makes money. So you can't flip a vehicle back into the States. So what people up here are trying to do with Broncos is they'll buy them, they'll park them for 6 months in a garage, and then they'll sell them to the States. But I think with the Bronco, I think the whole Bronco craze, and I've been saying this for a little bit, more, not so much on the internet, but more so in my, circle of people that I know. I think the whole Bronco craze, this over MSRP stuff on used vehicles just isn't going to happen for all that long, because the craze exists because of people who've waited for, when you've waited already a year and a half for a vehicle, and someone tells you it's going to be $10,000 more, $20,000 more maybe for a new one, and you've got this used one with maybe like 1,000 kilometers, you don't care if you're financing it at the bank. And anyways, Ford's interest rate on the Broncos is relatively high. So these used ones go for so much more because there's still 100,000 reservation, or
they only they've only built 38,000 this year or last year. So there's a lot of people still waiting.
Yeah. And there's going to be a whole lot less waiting in 6 months.
Yeah.
I think, I look forward to the day with some of these guys, not necessarily guys, but people, men and women, who've bought, who are hiding away 10, 12, 15 in some big garage thinking they're going to make a ton of money, waiting for their 6 months to pop so that they don't get, blocked off the first one that they send to the States. I think it's going to be funny the day that the market, you could say the market crashes, the share stock price crashes on these used Broncos, and they're actually getting, $4,000 or $5,000 less than what they paid. And that's what I predict. I'm in no way interested in flipping my Bronco for money.
Right.
And by the time I sell it, I expect to probably sell it for $3,000 or $4,000 less than what I paid. And if that's the case, I'm going to be thrilled. My, $900 per month payment on my Bronco, if I only depreciate it, if I only lose $4,000 in what I paid, my overall monthly payment will have worked out to $400 or $500. Heck, that's the price of an Escape, and this thing's like 3 times Escape.
Yeah.
Cover Escape. This is 3 times cooler than Escape, so I might be okay with that.
Right. So with this, Ford has colors for Bronco were like, I was expecting more for Bronco, but with this truck, they seem to've, they've not went crazy with it, but you're getting some of the fun colors. What are the colors that you're seeing that are the hot colors on the Maverick, and what are the ones that you're like, man, I thought that might do better?
I'm actually surprised. I'm not a fan of Area 51 on the Bronco, and then on the Maverick, I love it. Our Maverick coming in is an Area 51, and I think it's one of those colors that looks good in small doses and looks awful when you put it on a big canvas. And the Bronco is one beautiful big canvas, but not a fan of it in Area 51. But the really popular colors are, it sort of follows the Bronco scheme. Velocity blue, somewhat cactus, a lot of cactus. White for businesses, like you said, it's the perfect parts delivery truck. But I would argue that landscaping, if I was landscaping, and maybe I don't know enough about landscaping, but if I was landscaping, I'm not a big fan of, working with a lot of people. So I'd probably work with only 1 or 2 other people if I had to. I'd have one tractor back there, and I think the Maverick would be perfect for that. You throw in a weed whacker, a mower in the bed, you pull a trailer with one tractor, and you've got your perfect landscaping company. And that's why they're actually, of course, as always, pulling blacks and black colored Mavericks and whites.
Right.
But yeah, it's nice to see some funky colors like the Area 51.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I had to pick it out, well, me, I'm all about the blue, so I'd be all over that Velocity blue.
Well, the one interesting to me is the hot pepper red. I'm not a fan of this color by any means. I don't. Ford with Bronco, they launch, and then it's like less than 6 months. It's like, oh, we're not doing these colors. You're going to be forced to a few other colors. And I know Ranger gets this color, and Ranger I think's gotten this color for a year now. Is this a color that's like I haven't seen really people show interest in, or is it another color that's like the weak link of the Maverick?
No, I feel for you in regards to not liking the color because it has the longest name, and we're reviewers, right?
Yeah.
We're car show guys, and we hate complicated things. Like Ford's made it real tough on us. It's a mouthful, and we can look like, I've looked like a buffoon trying to say it before, and I just say, that chili colored one. So it's got a nasty name, but on a small canvas, it actually looks really good. Like I would not take this on a Bronco, and it's kind of like the Area 51. It looks good in small doses. So yeah, I think when you see it in person on a smaller vehicle, you're gonna like it.
I wish, like, I'm looking now, I wish they would have brought like this Alto to the Bronco. I like that color a lot. Obviously the blacks and the whites and the grays are always popular colors, but do you think for maybe 23 that they change up the palette a little bit?
Definitely. It's a part of Ford's regular, and if anyone's going to end up being switched to a 2023, part of the whole benefit is you're going to get two colors that are, you could say, this year's exclusive models. They're going to drop, and they'll add two more colors. And I wouldn't be surprised one bit if they drop the red hot pepper. See, I'm doing it again. I just can't get it out.
It's a mouthful.
The jalapeno chili pepper one. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop that and they drop the yellow. Oh, sorry, orange. No, I'm not into, people telling me what to do. And, it's yellow. They call it orange and it's just wrong. That's so yellow.
Yes.
My parents, by the way, just today, I got the news. They bought a Bronco Sport that yellow.
Oh, wow.
That's... My dad's 78. My mom is 9 years younger. So anyways, they picked that color. I think he was trying to show off and act young for her. But anyways, on a small canvas, it looks good. It looks good on a Bronco. But on the Maverick, I'm not a fan.
Well, vehicles like this, and we're looking at the Ford's website right now, and they're showing some, late 20s, early 30s people in these vehicles, and it's very youthful, and this is a very youthful vehicle. But these companies always miss their target audience with this. It's generally the 50 to 70-year-old people are the ones that are buying these littler, more exciting colors, more exciting kind of cars, and then the kind of younger people are just like, they don't seem to want a part of this. What do you think the age group is on this vehicle?
I remember being 25 and I couldn't afford a sandwich.
Yes.
Literally a sandwich and a Coke was out of the budget. Horrible student debt, credit card debt, because I was using credit cards to buy the sandwich, which I couldn't afford. So anyways, this image that you put on, I love, because I call bullshit on it. That $3,000 electric bike, I think Ford forgot that people in their 20s don't make any money. Like, it's ridiculous. And my channel reflects it. I'd say 18, I was looking at the stats the other day, and that 18 to 25 group is something like 4% of my channel.
Yeah.
And the older you get, the more viewers I have, and actually above 45 is over 60% of my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then almost everyone, the other almost 40% comes between the whole, I think it's like 35 to 45 range. So not a whole lot of 20-year-olds watching my channel. And that's either because 20-year-olds, like when I was 20, I thought I knew everything. So it's either because they think they know everything and they won't watch YouTube informative videos, or I'm just teasing, of course.
Of course.
Or it's because it's the finances. But I do really respect that Ford built a truck figuring, hey, young people aren't these days. It's not the 1960s and 70s. We're not in our golden era of making crazy money and one individual supporting an entire family, 2 vehicles in the yard, and all the kids get to go to college on one salary. Like, we're not living these golden years anymore. And I think it's pretty awesome that they built a truck they didn't have to build. They didn't have any competition. This wasn't a segment that was already existing, stealing away F-150 sales or Ranger sales. What they needed was a Ranger to compete with the Tacoma, because some people were choosing a Tacoma over an F-150, and rightly so. The Tacoma, as it's a great vehicle. It's a little boring, but it's a great off-road vehicle, and it's horrible on gas, but it has a whole lot of perks. It looks great. Overall, I could say I really, really like the Tacoma. But then they come out with the Maverick, and it's not as if the Maverick's going to steal a whole lot of Tacoma sales. It's not like, hey, let's get back at Toyota because that Tacoma is so darn good.
Right.
No, they built it as if they really saw a need, and they're like, you know what? Some people can't afford a new vehicle, and they're buying, these subcompact cars, and people need something that takes barely any gas, relatively speaking, and isn't that much per month. They built a vehicle for the people, and we see it we've seen it with the 200,000 reservations. I think people have responded really positively to Ford making a really good move for actual individuals and not for profits, because what I'm hearing from different dealers is that there are people choosing an Maverick over an F-150.
Wow. Yeah, that's not something that the old Ford would have really went after.
No, old Ford in the 1990s would not have liked that idea. The F-150 makes them money. It's what keeps them living, and it's profitable. And the Maverick obviously can't be nearly as profitable. And when people are choosing Mavericks over F-150s, and it's not the people who have a whole ton of money and don't know what to do with their money anymore, or are making, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. People that are choosing Mavericks are people who absolutely need a truck, but we're only pulling, 3,000, 4,000 pounds and are happy to actually have money left over for the family. So instead of being unbelievably tight, they've got a little, spend money to actually enjoy their camping trip.
Well, I did a quick build of the mid Maverick as we were talking here. And yeah, you're talking, these are estimated payments, but at 84 months, which it just blows me away. You can finance a car for 84 months anymore, but $28,800, $379 a month, like compared to what, the Broncos, or you get into the F-250, F-350s, like these things are definitely, for somebody that just needs a light use truck, it's definitely in their scope of affordability, we'll say.
And that's I agree with you about your whole comment on the 84 months. And that's why I always feel I recommend it on my channel, lease. Because what's going to happen at 84 months is your pair of sneakers, no matter how comfortable they've been, they've got holes in them at 84 months.
Oh,
You're putting money in maintenance and repairs. And the people that go 84 months, you go there because it's about having the monthly payment. You need a vehicle. You need transportation. It's not necessarily because you love vehicles. You need to get from point A to point B, but you don't have a whole lot of money to put towards that. You put your money elsewhere. You invest in your kids. You invest in your health. But you've got a little money left over and you need transportation. So you go 84 months. But the problem is you're going to be putting your repairs and maintenance into a vehicle, and that's going to make you possibly loathe and hate the vehicle that you originally loved. And I don't think, and it's bad because Ford has to do 84 months because some people are doing 96 months.
Wow.
So, and Ford refuses to do 96 months. And actually at one period in the last, 10 or so years, I remember at one point there was a manufacturer doing more than 96 months. And at some point, I'm not for extra laws, except for when it really does protect people. And I feel it's bad because you finance a really long period of time and you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're putting your own hole in that sneaker because you go 84 months because you can't afford more. But then you've got these maintenance and repairs, so you end up having a bad taste in regards to whoever sold it to you. Because no matter who you are, no matter what the manufacturer is, you can't build a vehicle that's going to be cost-free at 84 months.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the lease. Right when you need to put maintenance and repairs into the vehicle, you're like, okay, here are the keys. And what's nice about trucks these days, not just Ford, but pretty much all trucks, you come to the end of a lease, you're probably going to, if your dealer is fair and honest with you, they're probably going to say, hey, great news. The buyback on, let's say, your Ranger or F-150 is, let's say, $25,000 or $34,000. It's worth more. And they'll give you, they'll give you that, $3,000 to $5,000 of positive equity back. And that's what, in my parents' situation, even with a Lincoln MKC, they got at the end of they're not even at the end of their lease. These days with the market, it's crazy. A Lincoln near the end of a lease used to be about, $4,000 or $5,000 in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So less than the current buyback price. And whether you're at the end or, 10 months out, and they're like 10 months out, and they got $3,500 back for their trade. So they're laughing. They took the Bronco Sport, the most equipped that money could buy. In Canada, $47,000 Bronco Sport.
Wow. That's crazy. And Cigar Texan, thank you so much for that. The Columbus sailed the ocean blue thing. Yeah, I was just quickly looking at Ford's. Even these finance rates are not like dead accurate, but they've got a 72 month or a 75 month, which boggles my mind why somebody would need that extra, couple months there. But 72 months is 406. You go 75 months, it's 404. I'm like, how does that make up anybody's mind about buying one of these things? But hey, it is what it is, and vehicles are expensive no matter what. And you were talking about maybe there needs to be some laws for protections on this stuff, but the problem being now is these things are so expensive, and for some reason they have to be at some point. But Ford's building is in Mexico, so they will be. There's a better profit margin if they do it there. And yeah, like the idea of and then Ford wants you to use their financing if possible. But like you said earlier, their financing right now has not been competitive compared to my local credit union's done me way better than Ford wanted to do with my Bronco. But so yeah. John, as we kind of wind this one down, man, because like, guys, if you hear John talk, I just like throw out a little question, and John's like 15 minutes with the answer, and at the end of his answer, you're just like, holy shit, I just learned a lot. And that like, Dave, get out of the way. But go over to Johnny's channel if you're a part of my channel, and definitely check out John's stuff. But so what are these things gonna be like in the used market, you think? And I know that's a tough question, but and look, I'm putting John up. Look there, John, you're actually live on the screen now. I'm just kind of holding you up there a little bit so they can see you for a second. But where do you think, like, because sometimes cheap vehicles are cheap for a reason, and they don't fare well in the used market. Now, granted, we're in weird times with the whole pandemic, and I'll drop some water. And the way used car prices are nuts right now anyways, but where do you think they'll be?
So there's two factors to properly, I'd say, analyze and look at that situation. And that's a lot of it comes down to supply and demand. So of course, if there's, much less demand on the just demand period in 2 to 3 years, no matter how good or bad the product is, demand will affect price. But I think the demand is going to be high because usually in the automobile industry, what kills demand is a bad product. And I don't expect this to be bad. It's the 2-liter turbo. It's not Generation 1. Mm-hmm. Even just the same, Generation 1 was very good. And, Generation 2 is extremely good. We're not seeing a whole lot of problems with it. So from the all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, EcoBoost version, it's not going to kill the value because of an unreliable product. The Fusion and the Escape have already proven to us that the 2-liter is solid, other than, some Gen 1 gasket issues, and that's been worked out. When it comes to the hybrid, well, the hybrid is also mostly not long-term proven, but, medium, short-term proven. So that shouldn't kill its value. So as, simply put, I'd say that I expect this to be quite reliable. So the overall, I think the percentage of issues is going to be relatively low. I think that also the fact that this isn't using sync, a lot of manufacturers try to build their own systems and, they don't work out. A vehicle can die off because of style. Mm-hmm. Value is not going to die off on style from this because F-150s, we've got the test is there. We've got 30 years of F-150s on the road, and they don't really go out of style all that much. So, and the style on this is great. It just looks like a low to the ground F-150 for the most part. Right. It looks like a truck. I'd say the Hyundai Santa Cruz, and I think they pronounce it Hyundai, so I always like to pronounce things the way that people actually built the machine or built the thing. Or if you name your kid, Billy Joel, I'm going to say Billy Joel. I'm not going to say Joel or whatever it is. I'm going to pronounce it how you tell me to freaking pronounce it. So anyways, I think that could actually have less good resale because of the looks, because Marie-Pierre and I are a great example. We both reviewed it. We both drove it, and she just couldn't get over how much she hated the style. And I'm like, this is really good. Like, this drives really well. It accelerates really, really well. The Santa Cruz is a great vehicle. And she's like, no, it's bad. And I'm like, hon, what's bad? She's like, because it's ugly. And I was like, hon, you can't just say it's bad because it's ugly. You can say, it loses points because it doesn't look good. And that's just one aspect of the vehicle. Like, you can be a great guy, perfect marriage material, and not be the best looking guy. But that does, look at the whole package here, honey. So she understood that one a little bit better. So I think the Maverick, reliability, looks, I feel it's mostly a whole package. The only thing that could kill resale on this one is if some major issue that's completely unresolvable pops out, kind of like when up in my area, what could have killed for a while, we were in our area, we were wondering what was going to happen because F-150 doors were freezing either locked or unlocked, so you could actually possibly not be able to close your door because the internal mechanism froze. That was very much, for the most part, due to our very specific, extremely humid climate in the winter, and then it goes from extremely humid to just flash freezing.
Yeah.
But had that actually been, let's say, across, anywhere that gets cold temperatures, and they would not have been able to resolve it, well, that could have been the death of the F-150, and it could have made for a horrible resale. So I think this thing's going to resell really well. And of course, it does help when, for anyone who has a used vehicle right now, you should be really happy about the dealers that sell over MSRP. Now, if you're buying a new vehicle, you should be really angry about dealers selling over MSRP. Please don't blame Ford. You got people on the internet saying Ford's so crooked, they're making so much money with these vehicles over MSRP. No matter what the manufacturers sell vehicles to dealers at the same price, whether it's a small dealer or a big dealer, they get them all at the same price. Then they resell them. And because, it's capitalism and freedom, you get to sell that vehicle at the price you want. And even if, you're crooked, there's not a whole lot that the manufacturer can do. But what you can do as a consumer is get a offer. Whether you're shopping a Maverick or whatever it may be that hopefully you're shopping a Maverick if you're watching this right now. But if you are shopping a Maverick, if you've already ordered, either case, get a signed offer from your dealer. And that doesn't mean the order sheet that they have you sign. Your signature isn't worth anything. You signing just means that you're saying you're going to take the vehicle.
Right.
You need to have them on an actual contractual offer, and that no matter. And obviously I'm not a lawyer. I did a year of law school, but that certainly doesn't make me a lawyer. And every region's different. But it's pretty hard no matter what region you live in, even if it's Sri Lanka. If you've got a signed piece of paper that says what the vehicle is, has your name on it, has their name on it, and the sales director signs it, well, it's pretty hard for them to wiggle out of that one.
Right. No, I definitely agree. And you got to protect yourself right now. More than ever, you have to protect yourself with that stuff. Well, John, I greatly appreciate you being on here tonight, man, for our first Maverick Talk. Now, these Maverick Talks aren't going to be every week. It's just going to be kind of random. But I like bringing – you were the one guy when I knew I wanted to do a Maverick night that I was like, I have to get John on here because Johnny is the Maverick guy. Like, I seriously, if you search Mavericks on YouTube, you're going to get a couple, the big hitters, but you are the guy, the little guy like us that you're going to see up there talking about it. And like, you have inside info. It's not like you don't make up this stuff. You're not, just speculating. Like, you have some good inside sources for this. And dude, I appreciate your time, even though it's been a crazy one. Like, it's kind of sad that we didn't actually have like your face completely on the screen at all times, but we worked with what we got, and next time I promise you that that we'll have a little more professional output from this channel. But so kind of is closing, man. How you were talking about the Broncos a little bit. How are the weather with soft tops in Canada? Because I know that's the number one thing I hear down here is, oh man, you don't want the soft top. It's going to be, you're going to be cold. And I've had some nights in the teens here, but it wasn't cold. The only problem I've had as far as cold weather is the doors, the slush freezing on the doors, and you can't get in the back doors. So how's cold weather treating you in the Bronco?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the question. And also thank you so much before jumping on that. Thanks so much for having me on the show, because you, being the nicest American, are able to get the biggest hitters on YouTube. Like, you've had guys from TFL, which I absolutely love those guys, love listening to them. And you're able to get guys like that on your show, Mitchell Watson, which, Mitch is awesome, big man. Fantastic to listen to. So really awesome that you had me on the show for the Maverick and the Bronco. To properly answer your question, I'm actually really surprised. A lot of people, and I mean like people in the business, were telling me, Johnny, you're crazy for going soft top. Like, do you remember how cold last winter was? Because it gets so cold, sometimes it messes with your memory, and that's
Sure.
fair. Like, it was a good question. I'm like, yes, I do remember how cold it gets, because we'll always get about a week that's going to play between minus 40 and minus 50 Celsius, which I don't even know what that is in Fahrenheit, but half of that, let's say minus 25, which we had the other day, I believe I think minus 15 or 16 Fahrenheit. So it gets like minus 50, let's just say, is like Arctic levels of cold. So we won't get it for long periods, but we'll often get it for, 3 days to 2 weeks. And minus 25 is very cold, and it's actually gone really well. I'm not famous, but my cheapness, or my level of cheapness, is famous. And I'm not buying a little, temperature or noise gauge for the vehicle. I just go on what color my skin turns. And I can have my skin very blue in the vehicle. And actually, I think I don't know what this is on the side of my face, and obviously your viewers can't see it. But the other day it was so cold that my eyes were leaking and it froze on my face. So I've got like blue burnt skin around my eyes.
Wow.
And, it was fine. It heated up just as fast as any vehicle. I didn't have, the hard top with the wind and the flex. It didn't crack the material. I haven't had any door issues. So I'm actually really impressed, and I'm happy. I generally like to make my own opinions. I like to, I'm a bucking horse. So when people told me not to get the Bronco, and my dealer, when I originally told him I'm taking the soft top, they're like, no, you're going to wait for your hard top. And I'm like, I had to argue. And I'm like, no, I'm buying this. Like, I changed my order, put me the soft top. It's going to get me my Bronco sooner. And they're like, no. They like, that's not true. And I'm like, no, it is. It's going to be true. You're going to find out. Like, this is going to be public information that people are talking about. It's going to be common knowledge in a week to a month. And I want the soft top. And they said no, and I listened to them. And 3 weeks went by, and I actually had a guy who had a soft top, he was like 3 months later than me, get pulled and moved forward. So I hear a lot of stuff, I read a lot of stuff, and I see a lot of stuff. So anyways, I marched into the office to the general manager, and I'm like, hey, so-and-so got their vehicle pulled. And they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, well, I talk with people. So I'm like, and he's a soft top. I'm like, it's because he's a soft top. My 2.7 isn't slowing me down. It's a soft top issue. So anyways, it's been great having the soft top, and it's, no matter how cold it gets in your area, you're not going to have issues. I don't see any difference between that and the hard top.
Is both of your Broncos 2.7s?
Yep.
Yeah, so no 4-cylinder for you, huh? I mean, you like Mustangs, so there's no way. Like Johnny rallying through the backwoods there. Johnny ain't dealing with no 2.3, right?
No, and that's the thing. I think the 2.3 liter is good, and I don't anyone who's waiting on their Bronco, I don't want to discourage them in any way, because I'm the guy on the highway that questions, life itself. When someone's in the left lane doing 67 miles per hour, I'm like, no, everyone knows if you're in the left lane, you got to be doing at least, a good amount over the speed limit. I won't say how much, because, I'm not going to frame myself here, but it's called the fast lane. You know, the left lane's the fast lane.
Yeah.
There's nothing that frustrates me more other than, you know, cities that turn lights red when there's no reason to turn them red. But yeah, I like the speed, and definitely the 2.7. And I think anyone who does like speed, who is a bit of a speed freak, absolutely needs to have that 2.7, because the 2.3 liter is fast. It just doesn't feel fast. You stomp on it, and I've driven it, and I definitely stomped on it. And it was a 4-door, of course. So, like, you know, 5,200 pound, Badlands, Sasquatch, the wheels are heavy. Everything's heavy. But that thing, when you stomped on it, it didn't feel fast. So yeah, 2.7s. I'm pretty happy. Both came in. So 7 deadly sins. You know, I was on all of Santa's, you know, naughty list, and I still got mine for Christmas.
Well, you know, I have to say your reveal video that you did of when you got your first Bronco was one of the best reveal videos I've ever seen, of like kind of sneaking people out. You were looking at Rubicons, and then you just kind of pan out, and there's your Bronco sitting over there. Dude, that was great. I was so impressed with you, that idea.
You know, it's funny you say that, because most people like my second reveal video only because I wasn't so much in it and Marie-Pierre was in it. And they're like, hey, and like, I don't know how you got your wife, but, you know, good job. So I'm you actually like, you know, you're a good man. You're a good friend. You like my first one, which I also thought was clever. And I actually only made that because I just happened to be driving by a Jeep dealership, and I was thinking about you and your Jeep. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be like my secret chirp to Dave. Like, I'm going to pretend like I'm buying a Jeep and I'm, you know, joining the Jeep team.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant, man. I really like that a lot. So, what is kind of final questions? What is the what's the next stuff for you, man? Is it just more breaking news, or what do you got coming up?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for taking interest. Thank you for the question. Well, I haven't done a whole lot of proper drive videos, so I'm thinking of getting out of my cheapness. And anyways, it's not my money. It's the bit of money that the channel's made. I want to buy a drone that's going to follow the vehicle, so I can get really nice drone shots. So I want to up the actual vehicle reviews. They're not popular, but I really enjoy doing them. They make me happy. They make me smile. Marie-Pierre really enjoys coming along. Like when we did the review on the Hyundai, she really enjoyed, you know, going on for about 20 minutes about how she did not like the design. And I, you know, and we have banter together. And I really enjoyed telling her, like, hey, you know, at least Hyundai on this one isn't copying someone else's style. It's not someone else's style with, you know, 5% change. This is awesome. Like, I'm so happy they're doing this. And I actually like, you know, I'm going to say this publicly and I'm going to get judged, but I like how the Santa Cruz looks. I just don't like payload, and I don't like, you know, I think Ford thought of some really good things. Like, they didn't put that roll-in cover in the bed to lose 10 inches of bed on what's already in the Santa Cruz's case. They've got a 4.3. It's not quite, it's 2 inches short of a 4.5 foot bed. Ford's got a 4.5 foot bed. Already 4.5 feet isn't all that long. So, you know, they didn't put a roll-up cover, which would have increased the cost of the vehicle for the Maverick, and would have made you lose space. So what I think, and, you know, to answer your first question, why is the Maverick so successful? I think the Maverick's so successful is because they made a mission statement. They made like a philosophy. They chose a philosophy for the vehicle, and they stuck by it. And they didn't have different departments chiming in and changing the plan. So the plan from the beginning was, let's make a very usable truck that, yes, won't compete as much with the F-150 and Ranger because it's going to tow less. Let's have it all the payload in the world so that it's got real truck cred. Let's make sure it's got more payload than, you know, a classic Ram 1500, so that we've got real truck cred. And let's make it cheap, inexpensive. So you didn't have anyone going, oh, well, you know, so-and-so, these reviewers aren't going to like that the dash is plastic, so let's spend an extra $500, which we're going to have to up the price by $600 to change the dash. And then you've got this other group who's saying, no, the doors can't be plastic, change the doors. No, they stuck true to their original mission of making the people's champion. They made the people's champion. The people are happy. That's why the Maverick's successful. So I definitely do want to keep doing deep dives because I can't help but talk a lot. I've got all this information and I can't fall asleep if I don't get it out. So really, YouTube's my sleep therapy. I get it all out and then I can actually get to bed because I'm like, yeah, at least someone knows what's going on in this crazy head of mine. But I'd like to also do some more vehicle reviews, some really cool drive stuff, and get some actual nice footage, which I'm lucky that I have subscribers because every time I do a review, I've got like the worst drive footage. But they've been good to me, and I'm very lucky to have them.
well, and I've like I said earlier, I've been so happy to see your channel grow, and I think when me and you first hooked up, you didn't even have 1,000 subscribers, and you're already like killing it, and you're blowing this channel out of the water, and I love it, man. I really do. I'm very happy for you. And what is your dog's name again?
Yeah, Winston. That's part of the plan too. Winston's less of a co-host because he gets on some people's nerves as much as some people love him. Some people are like, I'm going to unsubscribe or not watch your videos if they, you keep putting the dog in. But he's definitely enjoying the vehicle experience. I just got home with the Bronco tonight, and I don't have kids, so he's basically like my son.
Right.
So Marie-Pierre was out in the front yard with him. And I said, hey, pop him in the Bronco. I'm going to take him for a ride. So I took him for a spin down the road, did a little donut at the end of the street. The neighbors might not like me, but whatever. Back in my yard, I drove over one snowbank, two snowbanks, came back and, re-drove through, these 3 feet tall snowbanks. And the dog loves it, so I plan on continuing to take him on off-road adventures. That's whether I do videos or not, he'll be there. Nice.
Well, dude, I appreciate you being on tonight. And guys, I will do another Maverick talk maybe in a few weeks or so. But obviously, the Bronco Talk Live stuff. I'm bringing back my Frontier Talk Live every Fridays. That'll be probably next week starting out. And I've got Chicago Auto Show coming up. Today on Bronco Nation, I know some of you were over there. They were sort of like leaning like, oh, the new Bronco Raptor's gonna drop very, very soon, and the next major auto show is Chicago. So that may force me to go up to the Windy City and check that in the Everglades out. But guys, go check out Johnny's channel. You're probably already watching John. So, but dude, I really do appreciate, if I could say it, appreciate you being on here tonight. And so whether it be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, the drill. It does not matter what you drive because this has been your All Terrain Nation, and we've been talking Mavericks here on the channel. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.